Hello everyone, welcome back to Triad Travelogues. I am Richard, and I'm coming at you today from the outskirts of Shanghai, China, to bring you episode 2 of the most professional podcast in the world. This is my co-host behind me. This is Leoti, Baby Leoti. She's not actually a baby anymore, though. She is a toddler now. She's going to be 2 years old in like 3 or 4 months. In June. She's going to be 2 years old in June. And her primary job here at this podcast is to disrupt the production of the show as much as it is possible for a 2-year-old to disrupt things. And she's very good at her job. But I got a lot of good response from episode 1. I got 3 thumbs up on that video. 3. And that's more thumbs up than I normally get on my videos. And I had like 10 views. So I'm moving on up in the world, you guys. I have 304. I think 304. Or maybe it's 204. Yeah, 204 YouTube subscribers. And actually yesterday, today's the 22nd of February, and yesterday, or the day before yesterday, YouTube demonetized all of my videos, and they removed me violently from their partner program because I don't have enough subs. Apparently, I need like 1,000 subscribers and several thousand hours of viewing time from those subscribers, or I think it's just viewing time in general. So my channel is not popular enough for them to deem me worthy to have money, to make money for my videos. And it's interesting because I was making, I guess I'm not really supposed to talk about how much money that I made on YouTube, but now that I'm not making any money, let's just say I was making about enough to go and buy a nice meal from the dollar menu at McDonald's once every couple of months. That's how much money I was making. So it's not like a big blow to me that YouTube comes and says, you can't make money. No, we're YouTube. No, you can't make money from your videos. You can't make money from your channel. You don't have enough subscribers. Now, I want to know, are they still running ads against my videos? I need to go and check this. I haven't checked this yet, but I'm going to assume that they are still running ads against my videos. And it's very likely that instead of those couple of pennies, per video that were going into my account and allowing that dollar menu meal for me every few months, instead of that, the money is being funneled to YouTube, which is not really that big of a deal, right? It's like, whatever, a couple of pennies per video per month. It's nothing compared to what Google makes in a couple of seconds, but it is actually a significant amount of money if you look at it like all of the channels like mine. My channel is not just a small channel. It's like a micro penis channel. It's like the smallest of this just tiny little nub of a channel amongst a sea of, other nub micro penis channel. My channel is small, okay? I want to build it. I want it to grow. I want to make more money. Well, whatever. Money is not even the issue. I want subscribers. I want people to watch my channel. When I was a kid, 20 years ago, okay, I was 15 years old, 20 years ago, I couldn't have even imagined that the average idiot with a couple $100 could, start his own TV show and have 200 people watching his TV show. 200 people. I got 200 subscribers. That's like, if I were a stand-up comedian and I had a show and and I wasn't famous and no one knew who I was, and 204 people showed up, that would be awesome. That would be it's amazing. 200 people showed up to watch my, I got some videos that have 10,000 views. For me, a person who is completely insignificant in every possible way. For me, it's that's a lot of people, a lot of people watching my channel. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks YouTube. You know what? All of you, the people that are making money off my videos. Oh, this is what I was trying to say before. All that money is a significant amount of money. It's a couple of pennies from my channel, a couple of pennies from some other micropenis channel, a couple of pennies from all these channels combined into millions of dollars, all being funneled into YouTube. And I know YouTube is in the red. YouTube, it loses money, that they're not profiting. I understand that. I'm not even anti-YouTube. I know a lot of smaller channels, not little micropenis channels like mine, but smaller channels, with a couple of thousand subs. I've heard a lot of people are angry with YouTube. They're angry because, YouTube is acting just crazy. They're always punishing content creators, and they seem to sort of side with advertisers, and they routinely censor content, and apparently they take subs away from people, and their algorithms don't work correctly. And I'm not an anti-YouTube person. I'm glad that YouTube has given me the opportunity to have 204 people that are subscribed to a channel as insignificant as mine. That's pretty cool. But I mean, come on, now I assume they're making an extra millions and millions of dollars a month, combining all these tiny little channels like mine and just taking all their pennies, I don't know. It bothers me, but I'm not as anti, because I feel like YouTube is a good way to... Oh, okay. All right. This baby's going to come up and be co-host for a minute. But you know what? She doesn't really have a lot to say. She pretty much just says the same things over and over and over again. So she's not a very good podcast host. But let's see. Maybe we can get her to say something interesting. Say hello. Say hello. Hello. See, she doesn't have a lot to say. Just mama, baba, baba. Wah, 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 wah. Yeah, ba. So it's cool. Thank you, YouTube, for giving me an opportunity to build an audience. And that's how I look at this channel, is an opportunity to build an audience and to make Triad Travelogues more significant than I could ever hope to be in my life as just an individual. Yeah. And oh, this is what I was saying. You guys at YouTube, hey, that are making that couple of pennies, per month per video that I put up. Enjoy. I hope that you guys are taking that money and buying yourselves a nice dollar menu meal from McDonald's on my buck, on my dollar. Thank you, YouTube. I appreciate it. All right. So now that I've ranted for 10 minutes, okay, what you're watching on the screen right now, for those of you that did not watch episode 1 of this podcast, this is an abandoned electrical plant that I found pretty close to where I live. And I went in with a GoPro attached to my head, and I just explored this place. And it's very cool. It's kind of like a campus. I'm pretty sure that it was this kind of workplace where people would work, but they also lived there. Their children went to school there. At the end of this video, you'll see there's a school that's in the back of this place. There are storefronts, a bunch of sort of industrial-looking warehouses. So, Dada, yeah, this is Dada, right? Yeah, you're so smart. So I went, and I didn't have my voice recorder that I normally carry with me when I do videos like this. And so I just figured, well, I'll use this footage as a backdrop and start a podcast. So that's what I did. And I like doing this. This is fun for me. I enjoy. It's not live right now, but in the future, I would like to make this into a live thing. I need more than a couple of people watching my videos there. Yeah. So today what I want to do is I want to talk about, I want to continue what I was talking about in the prior video. I was talking about urban exploration, exploring abandoned buildings, and I want to get into my history of exploring abandoned buildings. I've been doing this for a really long time. Actually, I've been doing this since I was, I want to say 17 or 18 years old. And she's kind of getting on my nerves, to be honest with you. I'm going to put you down, okay? Is that okay with you? What do you think? Maybe you can go entertain yourself. She's old enough to entertain herself, don't you think? Why don't you go get a job? Dad needs money. Go get a job. Look, there's the door, okay? Go get a job. It's China, right? A 2-year-old can get a job in China, right? Go find a sweatshop. Okay, so, and just to let you guys know, I am watching her. I always have my eyes on her. I know this baby. So I know you watch this video and maybe you see her behind me and you think, oh no. And you think, oh no, he's not watching her. But I always got my, I always got my eyes on her. I can see her through I have 3 computers in front of me. I can see her behind me. So don't think I'm neglecting this baby. Okay. My very first foray into urban exploration was when I was 17 or 18 years old and I was living in Dallas, Texas. And this was before I even knew what urban exploration was. I never had even considered this idea, this concept. I didn't know it had a name. I didn't even think about exploring any kind of, abandoned place. But my friend, I was friends with this guy for a really long time. His name, well, you know what? Screw it. I'll just tell you his name. Wait, libel. I don't know much about libel laws. Let's call this guy Lance, okay? His name started with an L, and it rhymed with Rogan. But we're going to call him Lance, okay? Now, Lance was a very, very crazy person. I always say when I talk about, in my life, I've known a lot of really crazy people. I tend to attract crazy people, probably because I am a little bit, or at least I was a little bit of a crazy person, especially when I was younger. And I met this guy, Lance. I met him when I basically went to a school for juvenile delinquents for a little while. And it's kind of a funny story. I'll tell you just very briefly about this school that I went to. It was called A+ Academy in Richardson, Texas. And it was filled with literally like juvenile delinquents. It was in this tiny little like office complex, and it was like there was like a psychiatrist's office next to us, and it was just a room, like a big storefront full of offices. And in one of the offices was this school, A+ Academy, school for juvenile delinquents. Now, everyone else that went to this school, these were legitimately juvenile delinquents. But my mom sent me to this school because she didn't like that I was wearing JNCOs. You guys remember JNCOs? I read the other day that company went out of business. They're not making JNCOs anymore. For those of you that don't know what JNCOs are, maybe people watching that are in their 20s or whatever. I'm not really I'm not hip anymore. I never really was hip, but No. I have to prevent a disaster. I'll be right back. No. You already ate so much. You ate so much. No. Yeah, a big part of having kids is preventing disasters. I call it putting out fires. And probably when she's older, I'm going to be literally putting out fires. Always preventing disasters when you have kids. Anyway, I was not a juvenile delinquent. My mom just was a fundamentalist Southern Baptist that didn't like my rebellious attitude. I had long hair, and she didn't like I had long hair. She didn't like that. I was listening to bad music like Nirvana, and she didn't like that. Nirvana is bad, and it's of the devil. And I was, what else was I doing? I was wearing JNCOs. For those of you that don't know, JNCOs were these ridiculously big, they were like jeans, but the pant legs were just massive. Like you could fit like a midget. Some of them were so big you could fit a midget. Is a midget not an appropriate word to use in our politically correct world? You could fit a little person, okay? You could fit like 2 Leotis. This is Leoti over here, my baby. You could fit 2 of her into one of these pant legs. These gigantic, ridiculous pants. And like the skater kids and the goth kids wore these pants, and I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world when I was 15, 16. I guess I was 14 when I started wearing them. And my mom she freaked out. She didn't like my rebellious attitude. She didn't like that I had a girlfriend for some reason. I guess, I don't know, maybe she wanted me to be gay, but she was like, really, she didn't like that I had a girlfriend, that I was thinking about sex. And so she really just clamped down on me, and she decided I was homeschooling at the time. And I'll get into that at a later date, all of that stuff. But she didn't like that I was acting like a kid, a normal kid. I was questioning authority, and I was questioning religion, and I was wearing JNCOs. So she took a lot of my clothes from me. She took all my CDs. I had Nirvana CDs. She took my Alanis Morissette CD. Okay, a Jagged Little Pill. Okay, I go and read the lyrics. Okay, for Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill, and you tell me like how many cuss words are in that whole album. I think there's like 3, right? I think she says ass once, and she says fuck a couple of times. But like nothing at all really that could be considered that offensive, you know. But my mom was like, no, you can't have this. So she took all my CDs. She read my journals. I kept a journal because I was a little emo kid. I was an emo kid before emo kids were like, the goth kids were the prototypes for the emo kids, right? When I grew up, it was, you know, we were. Why are you doing that? Do you see this? This is what I'm talking about. See, and she's proud of herself for disrupting, you know? She thinks it's hilarious. So, yeah, the goth man, you know, I wasn't even a goth kid. I just was trying to fit in with the goth kids. I thought the goth kids were cool, and so I was trying to be a goth kid. Anyway, so yeah, my mom went nuts. She took all my stuff. She read my journal. She freaked out. There was sexual stuff in my journal and violent imagery. You know, I was whatever. I was a kid. I was a boy. I liked violence. I liked Mortal Kombat and stuff like that. You know, I liked boy things. My mom was like, no, this is not, you know. If I had written a journal just filled like this thick with homoerotic poems about Jesus, my mom would have been okay with that, you know? If all I did all day long was just go around and obsess about Jesus and talk about how much I loved Jesus, my mom would have been totally cool with that. You know, even though to me that's much more maladaptive behavior than like wearing JNCOs and listening to Nirvana. Yeah? But anyway, my mom freaked out. I was not being a good Jesus kid, and so she stuck me in a school full of juvenile delinquents, which is funny because up until that point, I was a pretty straight and narrow kid. I mean, really, I was. I had never smoked a cigarette. I'd never smoked a joint. I had never even had alcohol before. Like, I'd never done anything at all that would be considered bad by most reasonable parents' standards. I was a good kid. It was this subversive thing. She felt like I was subversive against her religion. And I didn't love Jesus the way that she thought that I should love Jesus. You know, I started questioning religion when I was 14, and it just went, my relationship with my mom just, you know, because that was her main concern. You know, I think I could have been a Jesus freak and a serial killer, and my mom would have been happy with that, because at least I loved Jesus. Right? That was my impression of a serial killer. Did you like that? So anyway, man, I went off on a serious tangent. So my mom put me in a school with juvenile delinquents, which had a very negative consequence of me interacting on a daily basis with juvenile delinquents, which is kind of the opposite of what my mom was trying to accomplish. She's like, you're being bad, so I'm going to send you to a school where you can learn to be really bad. It's like when you have a non-violent drug offense and they send you to prison for 5 years, and then you come out of prison a criminal, and it's like, okay, that doesn't really make very much sense, does it? Let's take this guy that's smoking a little bit of weed, and, you know, keep in mind, when I was a kid, they did this. You know, I know weed's a lot less serious now and it's legal in a lot of places, but when I was a kid, if you were caught with a lot of weed, you were pretty much screwed. Like, you were in some pretty serious trouble. And, you know, luckily that never happened to me, but there are people who were put in prison for weed and for non-violent drug offenses and just for stupid things. And man, you go to jail or you go to prison just a normal person and come out a criminal, you know? I know I understand people know that. That's a cliche thing to say, but I've seen it happen. I know that, you know, it's true. It does happen. They kind of condition you to be familiar with that prison lifestyle and to have, you know, connections with people that actually are criminals. And that's what happened to me. I was never a criminal. I mean, I was, I guess, a criminal, but I never was a violent criminal. I never really did anything that bad in my life. I mean, I guess we'll get into all that stuff later too. But the point is, my mom sent me to this school and I met some bad kids. And one of those kids was Lance, which is, again, this guy's name was Hogan, except with an L instead of an H. Okay? And he is hands down probably one of my top 5 craziest people I've ever met in my life to this point. I'm 35 years old. And his family was really insane. His mom was a lunatic. His dad was a lunatic. His whole family was just, they were crazy, you know. He was, you know, we met, we hit it off. I'm talking about, I don't want you to think that I don't talk to this guy anymore. I'm not friends with this person anymore. But I don't have negative feelings toward him, okay? I'm just, you know, communicating the experience that I had. I don't want anyone to think, especially if he watches this video, I don't want anyone to think that I have anything negative I don't feel anything negative about this guy, you know? He was my best friend for 10 plus years. You know, we hit it off immediately and we had a lot in common. We both had been put into this school for juvenile delinquents, and neither of us was really a juvenile delinquent. He just had very serious psychological issues. He had all kinds of just depression and ADHD and probably, you know, his mom had a pharmacy in their kitchen. And I think that he was suffering from kind of a Munchausen by proxy thing, you know, because his mom was really crazy. And I'm pretty sure she kept him medicated for stuff that he didn't need to be medicated for, on top of the stuff that he did need to be medicated for. And so, you know, this guy, I met this guy, we hit it off, and you know, the thing that I liked most about this guy is his energy was so chaotic. He was a chaotic person. He was willing to do anything. He was up for anything. He was reckless as hell. He just was a person. And at the time, it was like, he was like everything that I wanted to be, but was afraid to be, you know? He just was unhinged. And I felt liberated when I was around him because he was just so full of this manic, angry, useless, chaotic energy. And I want to be like that, you know? I want to be like that. We're both misfits. We're both outcasts, shunned by society, hated by all popular people. But we clicked and we started hanging out a lot. And, you know, I was kicked out of that school. Well, no, my mom took me out of that school for smoking a cigarette, okay? I don't know what she thought would happen. She sticks me into a school for juvenile delinquents, and then she pulls me out for for acting like a juvenile delinquent. Anyway, years and years later, me and Lance, you know, I got my driver's license when I was 17, and I think I was 18 years old, and I taught him how to drive. So I would basically I'd be like, okay, Logan, or oops, I said his name. Okay, his name's Logan. Whatever, you know, again, well, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay, so we're going to call him Logan from now on, okay? So I was like, you know, I'm going to teach you how to drive, man, you know? So I basically would show up with my car. I had what was it? It was a Dodge Shadow. It was a red Dodge Shadow, this shitty little car. It was like $1,000 or a $1,500 car. And this is back in my early days of being a pothead. And so I'd show up. I had a pipe called Jade. I called the pipe Jade because it was green. And we named our, you know, it was common among potheads to like name your piece. So I had this green piece called Jade, and I'd show up at Logan's house. And see, Logan's mom hated my guts. She absolutely hated my guts. I don't know why she hated me so much. I mean, her kid was way crazier than I ever was. But maybe that's what it was. She just didn't like that we influenced each other to be crazy. So I'd have to I'd have to drive to his house and call from a payphone. And you know, this is before, oh my God, this was before I had a cellular phone. We had pagers back then, okay, kids? Pagers. Maybe you kids don't even know what pagers are. You bunch of little whippersnappers. So I would stop at a payphone. Oh, we had payphones back then too. Maybe you guys don't know what those are either. And I would use a coin. I put a coin into the payphone. Maybe you guys don't have coins anymore. You and your Bitcoins. And I would call his house. And his mom screened the calls. Like if his mom picked up the phone before he did, I would just basically, I would have to indicate, because she wouldn't give him the phone, you know, because she tried to keep him locked up in the house. And so I would have to indicate that it was me without saying it was me, you know, because she wasn't supposed to know I was there. So I called once and I was like, you know, and then hung up the phone. And this is what I normally did, you know, I'd call or we'd have this way to communicate. Hey man, I'm here. I'm down the street. You can come out now. I'm going to pick him up. And he'd have to escape from his house. And so I called this one time, hung up the phone because his mom picked up, you know, and then I waited. And then a couple minutes later, I see him running down the street, you know, he's like, go, go, go. He opens the door, jumps in, go, 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 drive, drive, drive. And his mom comes running out. It's a, you know, I drive off and he's like, dude, what did you say to my mom when you called? And I was like, I just made some noises. Why? And he's like, dude, my mom is trying to get a hold of the FBI because she thinks that a terrorist called the house. Like a terrorist called and was threatening to like blow up our house. This is how crazy this woman is. I am not making this story up. I swear to God, this is true. And I guess she just thought, I guess she thought that was like Arabic or something, right? That was me. That was not me. That was some terrorist calling and being like, I'm going to come and blow your house up. And, so whatever, he escaped from the house as she was. Okay. Here, if you want to be up here. Okay. So I don't know what she wants. She does this sometimes where she wants to sit down, but then she also doesn't want to sit down. And as his mom was trying to figure out a way to contact the FBI to tell them that the terrorists were coming to blow our house up, Logan escaped. So it was good. It worked. It worked out. He was okay. What do you want? Huh? So he was able to escape from the house, and she saw him escaping and ran after him, and then he ran down the street, jumped in my car, and I drove off. And so then, we'd park and we'd switch places. He would go to the driver's seat. I would go to the passenger seat. I would smoke my marijuana from Jade. I would get high, and Logan would drive very, very, very poorly and carelessly and chaotically. I'm surprised we never got pulled over and arrested, because this was before weed was an okay thing to be doing, And this guy, he actually did not know his left from his right. So if I said turn right, he was confused. He didn't understand what that meant. It didn't matter how many times that I did that. So we had this system, instead of saying like turn right or turn left, I would just put my hand on the right side of the dashboard. Boom, turn right. And he would know, oh, this is right. He didn't know his left from his right. Smart guy. This guy was a brilliant guy. Okay. Like this was not a stupid dude. This guy was, brilliant in a lot of ways, but really kind of dumb in a lot of other ways. But he didn't know his left from his right. So I'd hit the left side of the dashboard if I wanted him to turn left, hit the right side of the dashboard if I wanted, and I'd say it, boom, turn right, boom, turn left. So that worked out, Anyway, the point of all of this is one day as he was driving around with me in the passenger seat, smoking weed from Jade. I also had a cat named Jade later on, but I'll talk about that at another time. I was like, he said, in Plano, I think it was in Plano. I'm pretty sure it was in Plano. He lived in West Plano. And he said, we were in Texas, and he said, there's a movie theater, an AMC movie theater, and it's been empty for a really long time. I guess they just, they stopped showing movies there. I'm pretty sure that they're not going to reopen and that it's been abandoned. It's been sitting there for months. We should go see if we can get into this place. And, I was always up for something that was illegal enough to be stimulating, but not so illegal that I'm going to go to prison for doing it. I thought that sounds good, breaking and entering, trespassing, it's better than killing somebody. So we went to this AMC, and I actually, before I came on today to do this podcast, I tried to find out which AMC this was, and I couldn't find it, and this was so long ago, and I was so high on, all the time when we were doing this. I don't remember the exact location of it, but it was an AMC. It was a movie theater. I'm pretty sure it had 8 screens, big parking lot, and it was completely empty. It was a big abandoned movie theater. So, yeah, she wants to, when this baby is old enough to talk, she can be, I'm going to get a separate microphone for her, like a little miniature mic, and she can be my co-host and make witty remarks. You're such an idiot, Dad. Shut up. It'll be like that. Anyway, so look, man, I'm losing my voice already. 30 minutes, 35 minutes. I don't know. I've seen people do these podcasts for like hours and hours. People can sit there, like some podcasts do like 24-hour marathons. I can't imagine sitting down and talking for 24 hours and still having a voice left after that. Anyway, so we stopped at this AMC in the parking lot and got out, and basically Logan had a crowbar with him. Logan always had a crowbar with him and bolt cutters for situations like this. And handcuffs, okay? There's the kind of guy that carried around handcuffs, bolt cutters, and crowbars. And lock picks. He was a lock pick person. He could pick locks. So we broke in. I believe we found a door that was ajar. Well, it was not a door that was ajar. It was a door that was ajar. Do you understand? And pried it open with the crowbar, and we went in. And it was one of the exit doors for one of the theaters, So, when someone yells fire and everyone goes out the exit door, that is that door. And I guess it technically wasn't breaking and entering because, I don't know, it's kind of cracked open a little bit. We just sort of pried it open a little bit more and went inside. And this movie theater was a big, abandoned, very, very much destroyed theater. Like, they had gone in and just torn the whole thing up. They had torn all the seats out. And I don't think it was like vandals that did this. I think that they pretty much just went in and destroyed everything inside the theater. At the time... Huh? Okay. At the time, I thought maybe they had done this because... Yeah, I think she's upset. She's jealous of the microphone. She sees me talking into the microphone and she thinks like he's giving that inanimate object more attention than he's giving me. So she's like, screw that microphone. Anyway, this whole theater was just gutted and it had been destroyed. And I thought at the time maybe they just wanted to make sure that nobody could come in and steal anything, you know? Like, if they had left everything intact, maybe that would attract vandals. Like, I need a couple of movie theater seats. Let's go and break in and steal them. So all the seats had been, like, knifed up or removed entirely. All the screens, like the movie theater screens, it's kind of like a canvas material. They had all been slashed and ripped out. Basically, everything had been destroyed. And maybe it was vandals that did that. I really don't know. But it had a very eerie atmosphere to it. And even if you went in, you know, it was broad daylight. It was the middle of the day, probably early or late afternoon when we went in. And the place was like, it had an atmosphere. It had a creepy feel to it. And it was something I had never experienced walking through that place. Walking through the empty lobby. You know, the doors were boarded up and there was a concession stand right in the lobby, you know, like just like a normal older movie theater, you know, popcorn machine still there, just destroyed, you know, cut all up, beat up. It was like this thing that had been frozen in time, like a bomb had gone off and then just everything laid still and stagnant after that. No electricity was in this building, but, you know, it was this area that it was all these possibilities. You know, I've always had this spirit of adventure. I've always really I like exploring things. I like seeing new things. I especially like being places. I mean, now that I'm older, I understand. You know, I like being places that I'm not supposed to be. It has a thrill to it. There's an excitement there that you don't get exploring places you're supposed to be. You know, going to a museum is kind of boring, to be honest with you, but going to some archaeological ruin that you're not supposed to be, you know, it's more fun that way, right? It's more fun to explore either uncharted territory or forbidden territory. And walking around that movie theater was like a thrill, and the atmosphere of the inside of the place was creepy. There was so much energy there. And, you know, I didn't know about urban exploration, urbex culture at the time. I don't know how big that subculture was at the time. But I knew that I had found something special inside of me, this thing, this sort of craving for that kind of, it's a very specific thing. Like, you know, my wife is Chinese and I've shown her a lot of my urbex videos and we've talked about it. And she just does not, for the life of her, understand why anybody would want to explore abandoned buildings. She just doesn't get it. And it's not something that's really, like, I think prevalent at all in Chinese culture. So maybe there's a cultural aspect to it as well. I don't know. I know that you'd be hard pressed to find a Chinese person here that would be willing or would want to go and explore. But expats that I know here in China, people that I know that are from other places, especially the United States, normally, if you ask somebody that has any kind of a spirit for adventure, a traveler, you know, you want to go explore this abandoned hotel, you want to go explore this abandoned theme park, they would say, hell yes, I want to do that, you know. But Chinese people just kind of look at you like, why would you do that when you could be studying? You could be working or studying. You know, the Chinese culture is very much about just being not even productive. That's not even the right word, being productive. It's just looking productive or feeling productive by doing these pre-assigned tasks in the exact way that you've been told to do them over and over and over again. Homework. And I'm glad I didn't grow up in China. But that's another story. Anyway, so, we went back to this theater and we explored this movie theater a lot, for a year probably. We'd always go there, let's go to the AMC. Let's go to the AMC. We even took some stuff from there, which in retrospect, I think that's not something I would do now. I know part of the urbex culture is you don't, what do they say? Leave only footprints and take only pictures. It means don't vandalize, don't steal anything, leave things as they are. And I like that. I think that's good, But when there were instances, and I'll talk about this a little bit later when we get on with Rosewood, which is what this, I was going to talk about Rosewood for the whole length of the video, but I only have like 20 minutes left. So I might have to continue the Rosewood thing at a later time, but we'll get into that in a minute. I had for a long time, I kept this piece of a movie screen that I found on the floor. Like I said, the movie screens had been ripped apart and torn up and cut into little pieces. And so I took a piece of the movie screen and I kept that for a really long time. I think I even had it with me in Maryland. And Logan had an instruction manual. No, it wasn't an instruction manual. It was a guide for, I think it was for how AMC employees, it was like an employee guide for how they should dress, and it was like a code of conduct guide that he had. But we took some stuff from there, and not like anything valuable, just keepsakes. And the last I heard that the AMC was being used as a church. I'm going to, before I put this video up, I'm going to see if I can find a link to any information about the AMC theater, and I will link it up, whatever, because I know it's online somewhere. I remember seeing it, but I was lazy before I started this video. Okay, that's the first building that I ever went exploring in. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to fast forward a few years. I turned 21. I got the hell out of Texas, and I moved to Baltimore, Maryland in 2003. It was right after my 21st birthday. I moved to Baltimore, Maryland. My girlfriend at the time was going to be going to a college there. She went to art school there, and I followed her. And it wasn't just because she was going to art school. I really wanted to get away from Texas. I wanted to get away from the religious atmosphere that was in the colony, Texas, little place I lived called the Colony. It was just ultra hyper religious. And I wanted to change the pace. I wanted to explore, I'd lived in this place for so long, just this tiny little pocket of this little bubble that I lived in. And I wanted to, I wanted to explore, more of the country. Huh? You want to go down? Here, you want to go down? Ready? Tick, 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 tick. I think she's sleepy. Maybe she'll go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. So when I was living in Baltimore, I met a couple of people. Well, whatever. We'll just call them. You know what? Screw it. I'll just call everyone by their names. Why not? I don't think that if this channel ever gets big, maybe they can sue me. So there was a guy named Brett and a girl named Becky, and they were, very interesting people, very sort of counterculture, but they didn't like to be counterculture. I don't know how to describe them, or even if it's necessary to get into too much detail about their personalities, but they were the kind of people who would go dumpster diving for food, not because they didn't have money, but because, you know, it's cool to go dumpster diving and the, you know, Panera Bread dumpster and get bagels and bread, and, you know, you got all their apartment was filled with dumpstered, they call it dumpstered food, you know? So they were the kind of people that would do that, and like, they hated advertisements, and they hated any aspect of popular culture. All music is bad, except for music they liked, which, by the way, was goth rock, and like punk, like some punk rock, death rock. That's the kind of stuff they liked. That music was good. Any other music was bad and stupid. Movies were stupid. Amusement parks were stupid. Any family-oriented thing was stupid. Disney was stupid. Everything was just stupid. If you know, it was really, they were difficult to get along with, because if I tried to talk about something I liked, it was always like, that's stupid. It's just so stupid. You know? So the only things to them that weren't stupid were these very specific things that they liked. Like flying kites. That was pretty cool. Flying kites was really cool. You know, what, like Death Rock. Death Rock's pretty cool. Current 93. They liked Current 93 and Death in June, and, you know, and they were kind of on the edge. Well, I won't get into that. Today. Anyway, the point is, I met them. Okay, she's trying to bump my microphone. I met them, and we got to talking, and they were like, are you familiar with urban exploration? And I didn't know anything about that. You know, I'd never, because I guess maybe we had talked about the movie theater, the AMC. I'm not really sure. I don't remember how it came up, but Brett was like, you know, it's this basically subculture of people that like to explore places that you're not supposed to be, abandoned places, or, you know, just ruins, you know, abandoned places, ruins, these kind of really atmospheric places that you're technically not supposed to be, but it's probably not that big of a deal if you get caught. You know, it's not like a breaking and entering, it's more like a trespassing thing. And urban exploration culture, for them, that was cool, you know, that was one of the things that they respected, and so it was cool to like that. You know, we could talk about that, and it wasn't like, that's stupid, because it was something that they liked. And I was into this. This is something that was really cool to me. You know, and I liked the idea that, because even though I had explored the AMC theater, we had explored that pretty extensively, and it was part of my early teens, well, late teens, I guess, that was important to me. It was something that was significant to me, that AMC theater. But I never really looked past just the nostalgia of that experience, and really thought about, you know, the elements, like what it actually was about that experience that was so profound for me, that was so powerful. And so, you know, they were like, yeah, there's all these places in Maryland, there's all these places in and around Baltimore, we could go and explore these places. And so I was like, yeah, you know, I'll go with you, because they said we could go and explore these places. They said there's this one place, and it is an abandoned psychiatric hospital. It's basically an abandoned mental institution, and you can go in and walk around this place. And it basically just one day everybody left. And so everything's still there. The hospital beds are there. There's wheelchairs there. And this to me was like the most amazing thing ever. You know, I was, and I still am, I've always been interested in abnormal psychology. You know, the criminally insane, those kinds of people are really interesting to me. I like that. I just like dark things, you know? So to me, this was the greatest thing ever, you know, an abandoned psychiatric hospital. Let's go. And so, one night they decided they were going to go and explore this place, and they took me with them. So we went to this place called Rosewood Hospital. Now, I only have about, for this video, I only have about 5 or 6 more minutes. So we're actually not going to, get into Rosewood too much. I'm just going to kind of give you a brief overview of this place. And in the next video that I do, the next podcast, I'm going to talk about Rosewood a lot more extensively. I might actually just spend a whole podcast hour focusing just exclusively on Rosewood. Because today I have rambled. I prepared a lot of things today. Well, not a lot of things, but I prepared some things today. I prepared a lot of things, some things today, and it just didn't, I ended up rambling instead of actually doing the things that I had prepared for. But, okay. So it's actually called Rosewood Center, and I'm going to read to you from the Wikipedia. And I'll put a picture up, right now. Okay, here, ready? That's a picture of Rosewood Center. Okay. That's the Maryland Department of Mental Health and Hygiene's Rosewood Center. Okay, I'm gonna put you down, okay? What's over there? Go. She's been a lot more clingy than she was the last time I tried to do the podcast. What's up? What's up? Are you hungry? Okay, 6 minutes. I got like 6 minutes. Okay, I gotta feed this baby. All right, the Rosewood Center was, excuse me, I'm trying not to hack up phlegm and spit it everywhere. I'm trying not to do that because I don't want to offend my 204 viewers. The Rosewood Center was an institution for people with developmental disabilities. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so it wasn't really a psychiatric hospital. I always have thought about it and described it as a psychiatric hospital, but yeah, it was more of an institution for people with developmental disabilities located on Rosewood Lane. Oh no, sorry, the audio might just have messed up. I'm sorry. I know the first podcast I did, I had some issues with the audio, and I'm trying to not have issues with the audio this time. So my setup here is a little bit different. Okay, the Rosewood Center was first established in 1888. It's a long ass time ago. It was called the Asylum and Training School for the Feeble-Minded. From 1912 to 1961, it was known as the Rosewood State Training School. In 1961, the facility was renamed as the Rosewood State Hospital. After the state departments of health and mental hygiene merged in 1969, the facility was renamed the Rosewood Center. On January 15th, 2008, the state of Maryland announced that Rosewood would be closed in the near future, and the center began the process of transferring residents to other facilities. It finally closed on June 30th, 2009. Now, this is the thing about Rosewood. I went exploring Rosewood in, I think it was probably 2004, 2005. So when I explored it, it was kind of a big campus. And one side of the campus was abandoned buildings, like there were 4 or 5 of them. And then on the other side of the campus were buildings that were still in use. It was like a road and a big field, so you could see one campus from the other. So when I explored it, we would only go to the one side, obviously, that was abandoned, and we'd go and explore these buildings. But let's see. It goes on the history. There's a whole history here, and unfortunately, I only have a couple of minutes. That's very unfortunate. So, how did I do for an hour? It's like when you do a show like this, you're supposed to come on and say, "Hey, everyone, it's been a nice day. The weather is really good. Yeah, I've been having a great day. A little bit of I've had some diarrhea because I live in China. Been sick for 4 years, but oh yeah, okay, that's good. Now that we're done with the introductions, let's talk about Rosewood, the history of Rosewood, because this podcast was supposed to be a history of Rosewood Hospital, all about Rosewood Hospital. and it has been anything but. I literally have read the summary of the Wikipedia article about Rosewood Center. I spent an hour leading up to this. Yeah. So I'm sorry about that. So this, I guess this video serves as kind of an introduction to my urban exploration experience. Kind of what started my interest in that, and a little bit of background about me, and blah 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 blah. So I want to take this opportunity. We're gonna stop for a minute. You know, we're not gonna go on anymore with Rosewood. I'll do that the next podcast. But I've been thinking about this show, this format, and what I want to do with it. What's up? What? You want to put the blanket out? I think the baby wants to sleep. Okay, look. Here. You want to lay down? You can lay down. What do you think? Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. No? I don't know what you want. Give Daddy a couple minutes. I can need 2 more minutes. Oh, okay, now she's upset. What's up? What is... See, she wants something specific, and she can't communicate what it is that she wants. Something to do with the blanket. You want... Here, you want me to cover you with it? I don't know what she wants. So, yeah, we're almost done with that. I have about 1 more minute left of this video. I just want to say, you know, I'm still kind of... You see, that her job, remember what I said? Her job is to disrupt my videos. Straight up, her job is to... All right, so I'm going to end the podcast now. We got nothing done that I wanted to get accomplished. Look, we're going to continue this at a later date. Give the video a thumbs up. Leave a nice comment down below. Subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching Triad Travelogues. We'll see you next time.